All right. Well, if it's cool, Troy, I'm gonna introduce it because I think it is three. I got 3 o'clock on the button here on my Eastern time here. What is it over there, Simon? It must be eight.
Recording in progress.
Is it 8 o'clock over in the UK?
7 o'clock here.
7 o'clock. Okay. Oh yeah, we moved our clocks forward before you, if I recall, right? Aren't you like?
Oh yeah, we move our clocks back on Sunday.
On Sunday? Yeah, that was one weird thing going back and forth to get used to that. There was that 2 week, 1 week difference. But anyway, guys, welcome all of you. It's great chatting with you. I love getting to see you. You know, it's one of the bummer part of being online and on YouTube or Rumble, whatever or the podcast is. I just don't get to see you guys. So it's really cool to be able to chat. And yeah, we'll have to arrange something like that. We do have an insiders club. Don't worry about it now, but something to think about where we can actually have some interaction every week, which would be really cool, something in the future. But you are here for an amazing webinar, and one I could not recommend more. When I met Troy, I knew this was something. He was a resource I wanted to share with everyone who loves and values freedom. And, when I chatted with him, I've shared this story often, but it just made such an impact on me. I remember looking at him and saying, I think it was one of the days the market was or one of the weeks the market was tanking, like that's anything new. And I said, all right, I mean, I'd love to share you as a resource and all, but I mean, what do you do? What are you going to tell my audience? Like when the market's tanking, what are they supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Right. And he kind of looked at me and he furrowed his brow and he said, Steve, I'm not an investor. I'm a trader. And, I kind of going, yeah, no, it's, and he's like, yeah, I'm a trader. I know how to make money, whether the market's going up or it's going down. It doesn't matter. That's what investors suffer when the market goes down. If you hedge your bets, maybe you've got something in bonds or whatever, you can hedge it. But no, when you're dealing with traders know how to make money no matter what. And that paradigm blew me away. All right. When he said that, I realized what he was saying was he knows these principles that enable him to tap into the multi-trillion-dollar market and siphon money into his pocket.
Hey, Dr. Steve, you accidentally got muted there. Sorry about that. Could you unmute and repeat the last 30 seconds?
Are you trying to send me a message? Have I gone too long? It's
Zoom's
like
got a mind of its own, I think.
That pulls me off stage, right? Let me introduce Troy formally here. But Troy Noonan is CEO and founder of NetPicks Trading LLC and the Backpack Trader. So if you want to live a backpack lifestyle and just travel wherever you want and make money while you're doing it, Troy's your guy to find out. I was just on that cruise, that really cool Caribbean cruise, my first cruise ever at 54 years old, first cruise. And I was, Troy and I were talking about that. I'm like, I wish I could just like trade. I wish I could just make money on this cruise. That'd be so cool. And he's like, well, I've done that. And I said, you've got something there, man. He's created some of the most successful trading strategies and training programs in the market today, used by thousands worldwide. And he's here to share with us those principles to help us to financially flourish and discover the freedom that such flourishing provides. So without further ado, Sir Troy, take it away, my friend.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Steve. It's always fun to be here, and I want to thank everyone for being here too. I know you have plenty to do. We all live very busy lives, so I want to make this hour well worth it for you. And before I get started, I just want to ask everyone to please mute their mics just to kind of squelch out the background noise, and I'll let you know. We'll have some moments where we get to unmute, make some noise, and have some fun. But for now, if everyone could please mute themselves, that would be great. So also, I always forget this, and I want to do this now before I forget. I did hit the record. Let me just double check. This is what I always forget. I have 2 books now that I'm a published author. This is like a relatively new thing in my life over the last few years. Publisher contacted me, This one's one of the best sellers in some categories on Amazon, my day trading Quickstart guide. And I always ask you guys to engage with me. The more you engage, the more I can give you. And I'm going to randomly pick out people and give away some free books. So, all right, we should be recording. Does everyone know where the chat box is? You have a little button you could push that says chat, and if you open it up, it'll open up the chat box, so you could type in questions, which I'll be circling around to at some point. And everyone who's asking to record, it's you don't need to, because I'm going to record it and send this out. I mean, you can if you want, but every time you do it, sends a pop-up, and then I have to look over and say yes. And so you don't have to do that. The more you engage, maybe I'll choose you and send you a free book. I see Diane's got her hands up. All right, great. Appreciate that. Let me ask you guys a question. Is there anyone in here that already knows how to trade or has traded? In fact, do me a favor, type in a Y for yes or an N for no. You haven't traded. So I see a lot of Y's and N's and N's and a good mix. Good mix of people who have traded and who haven't traded. That's great. So we're going to talk about trading today, mostly how to be successful and most importantly, to achieve what trading can do for you, which is why I started my business, the Backpack Trader. Now, the Backpack Trader doesn't mean you have to schlep a backpack around. I don't really do that much anymore. I like to travel in style, but the Backpack Trader is more of a symbol of the freedom you get if you get trading right. Does anyone want that? Does anyone want to have that kind of freedom to be able to trade maybe only a few minutes a day? I only trade a few minutes a day, sometimes less. In fact, the less you trade, the more you can make if you know how to trade. But here's the thing, and this is why I'm so thrilled that you're here today. I'm just going to hit the mute all just to make sure that the background noise doesn't come through. Learning how to trade is not something you can just talk yourself into. If that were true, everyone would do it. But the fact is that most traders don't succeed, and we need to know why and then not do what they do. Learning how to trade is a transformational journey, and it begins with where we are right now. Think about where you are right now. If you're a trader, you're most likely a person trying to trade. If you're not a trader, well, if you start trading, you'll be a person trying to trade also. And a person trying to trade has some big disadvantages. We don't want to be a person trying to trade. We want to be able to transform ourselves into something other than that. And it's not a natural thing to do. There are steps to follow. So what I want you to think of is to get from person trying to trade to what I like to call the CEO of your trading business. So if you can imagine what it's like to make a decision as a person trying to trade versus a CEO of your trading business, you can start to perceive and begin to understand that that's a different point of view, and that the decisions you make are going to come from a higher perspective. Now, here's the thing. This is what most people don't understand. You don't have to wait until you become the CEO of your trading business. And if you're a brand new trader, or if you're a beginner, or if you've never traded before, you're here today, I'm going to consider you a trader. All right. Today, everyone in this room is a trader, and I'm going to talk to you like you're a trader, even if you've never traded before. Now, I love to work with brand new traders, by the way, because brand new traders can learn things the right way the first time. And that's a lot less costly than learning it the wrong way and having the school of hard knocks, which is another way of saying the market, teach you in a harsher, more expensive way. You're better off not trading at all until you know how to trade. So here's what I want you to imagine. In order to become the CEO of your trading business, use the power of your imagination, project yourself to that place already, and start making decisions now as if you're already the CEO of your trading business. Think about it. The power of the imagination is very powerful, right? So I didn't have people telling me this when I started trading. I started trading like 30 years ago. And in those days, the internet hadn't even really been invented yet. And maybe it was just starting to come around. But I used to wait for my paper charts to receive it, to come in the mail every Monday. They'd get mailed by my broker or some service. And then every day I'd have to fill in the charts with the closing prices from the Wall Street Journal or Business Investors Daily. And I'd build my charts until the next week they would come again. And that's how I started trading. I actually received a brochure in the mail one day, and it showed this pattern and had this headline on how you can make all this money. And I looked at it, and the pattern was called Head and Shoulders. And I'm like, what does shampoo have to do with trading? Obviously nothing, and it had nothing to do with trading. The Head and Shoulders is a price pattern, and it still exists. The price pattern exists today. And I learned what that pattern was. It got me intrigued. And I actually placed a trade. I started trading, and I placed a trade based on that pattern. And it turned out, as luck would have it, and I didn't even know at the time, but I actually got into a trade that later became infamous in history. It was known as the trade that broke the Bank of England. Has anyone heard of that? That happened back in 1992. An infamous multi-billionaire, well, I don't even know if he was a billionaire before this trade. He certainly was a billionaire after he made this trade. George Soros was shorting the British pound against the major currencies. And I happened to see that Head and Shoulders pattern, and I threw some money at that trade too. And it changed my life. I didn't know it at the time, but I took the several $1,000s that I made. By the way, the British pound dropped like historically. It lost 25% of its value in over a period of a few months. And that's a historic move, if you can imagine. Gigantic. And it broke the Bank of England, or nearly did. I don't even know exactly what happened. I just know it's infamously referred as a trade that broke the Bank of England. I took my several $1,000s and backpacked my way through Europe. I had a business at the time. I was running a business. It was kicking my ass. How many of you know what it's like to work like around the clock with hardly any time to sleep, just have to get up and go to work again? Has everyone had that experience? I'm sure most of you have, because at some point in your life, you're at that place where you just have to work your ass off, right? Everyone's saying, yes, been there, hell yeah, tired of it. I was tired of it. I had my own business, and it was a really busy business. I had to manage a lot of people. Of course, you know, when you manage a lot of people, you get a lot of headaches. Maybe I slept 3 hours a night. Maybe. Luckily, I was younger. Anyway, it was kicking my butt. And I was going through some really hard times also in my personal life with my relationship and just stuff, you know, you go through in your young 30s. Actually, I might have even still been in my late 20s. I don't know. It was that long ago. Point is that we've all been there, right? And so if you could find a better way, then clearly that's the whole point. Well, I learned something on that trip that I took when I started backpacking my way through Europe. And along the way, being a drummer, I picked up some bongos. I started sitting in with street musicians here and there. It was like a level of freedom that I had never experienced ever before in my life. I made a decision to go here, and 5 minutes later, I actually went the different direction. I was in Italy trying to get to the Greek islands, and 48 hours later, I found myself in Amsterdam. It was that kind of freedom. And there's no way to describe it other than to experience it. Along the way, I met a musician. It was in Italy, and we would go and play for free beer at different bars around town. And eventually we went our separate ways, but I received a fax from him several months later after we had both returned home, and he invited me to come visit him and learn some Venezuelan rhythms and go on tour with his group a little bit around Venezuela. I went to South America, right, to visit him. And within 24 hours, I met the woman who I ended up marrying, and now we've been married for 28 years. And my kids are almost grown up or nearly grown up. And I always tell people, Soros made billions. I made a wife. And I was hooked on trading. And the reason I'm telling you this, it's not to talk to you about myself. That's not why we're here. But I'm telling you this to reiterate how important it is to get trading right. Because if you get it right, it could change your life. It changed my life. That was over 30 years ago. It was 31 years ago. Now we're in 2023. Amazing, right? So that's why it's important to get it right. And what I hope to instill upon you is how we're going to go about doing that, what we're not going to do, and what we're going to focus on, so that if we do trade, we have the best odds to succeed, right? Nothing's guaranteed in life, but you could be in the most advantageous place you can be in if you get it right. Okay. And that's what I've dedicated my life to. I actually started calling a live trade room over 18 years ago. And I was calling trades every single day. And that was a pretty scary thing, especially when I first started. Has anyone here ever had to give a speech like what I'm doing now? Or worse, scarier, has anyone ever had to go on stage in front of a lot of people and sing a solo? So I had a crush on a girl. She got the lead role in the operetta. As a way to get close to her, I auditioned. Didn't think I'd get anything. Maybe I'd land a part in the chorus or whatever, but they actually gave me a pretty big part where I had to sing a solo on stage. And I'll tell you something, I'm speaking from experience. It was one of the scariest things I ever had to do. I couldn't sleep for a week, and leading up to when the curtain was going to open up, I thought I was going to vomit. It was awful. My mother said to me, and this was before it became cliche, just imagine that the audience is naked. And it helped. It did help. The lights came on, curtains open. I did my thing. I sang my song. I actually got a standing ovation. It taught me a lot, but I never felt that level of fear again, actually, until my very first day having to call a live trade in a trade room. There were 160 some odd people in the room. I had never done it before. I had just got invited in to this company. In fact, I was like you guys. I was sitting in on webinars just like this. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn how to trade. I already had some success. I mean, I already did that trade, that backpack through Europe, and I made a lot of money during the dot-com boom, by the way. And so trading had become a natural thing for me, and I had an aptitude for it. But when the dot-com bust came, that was a whole nother thing to learn. And while I didn't give all the money back, I gave too much back, and I learned what it felt like to take a big loss. I mean, I never forget my early days when the discount broker was charging $50 commission to get in and get out. That was a discount. And I made about, I don't know, 12 grand trading crude oil futures of all things over a 3-week period. And this was back in the early 90s. I'm like, that's a lot of money. And not knowing what I was doing, paying attention to someone else who really didn't know what she was doing either, my broker, ended up losing it all in one day. And that was a rude awakening. And that's what I mean by learning the hard way from the school of hard knocks. Luckily, I didn't lose more than that. I could have. I was lucky. But it made me realize that I needed something more. Hopefully, some of you will decide that what I'm going to tell you about the program I've started is what you want to do. And do you guys mind if I tell you about that now? Could I spend a couple minutes and just tell you about what I call the CEO Trader Mastermind? I'm going to offer you guys a one-on-one strategy call where we're going to talk about your trading. And then we're going to see if the mastermind's a good fit for you or not. We're going to explain to you what it is. You can decide if it's something you want to do, maybe not. That's fine. Either way, it has to be a good fit for us too. Like, we're not just taking anybody. We can't take everybody. But I'm going to put the link in here. And you guys, between now and then, you can do it while we're doing this session here. You can go ahead and fill in a short questionnaire if you want to apply for a strategy call with me or my team. We're doing it for the next 3 days. After this session, tomorrow and Monday. Here's the thing. Most people selling strategies, they sell you a strategy. You can learn some techniques. It's like learning how to paint by numbers, right? Anyone could put the green in the 3 square and the blue in the number 2 circles and et cetera, right? But that doesn't make you an artist. And one of the things that I learned early on was that no matter what strategies you learn, it's how you use them that makes the difference. It doesn't make you a trader just because you have a really good strategy. And so the example that I always like to use is, think about this. If you flip a coin, it's 50% chances of hitting heads and 50% chance of hitting tails, right? But at some point in time, who knows when, think of the infinite amount of flips. You might hit heads 30 times in a row. You might ultimately hit tails, however many times in a row. It ultimately smooths out over time, right? But imagine if every time you flipped a coin, that 52% of the time it would land on heads and 48% of the time it would land on tails. Now, if you knew that, you'd call heads every time, wouldn't you? You'd have a 2% advantage. You'd be 2% over 50-50. So then it's just a matter of not betting the farm on every flip, but making very small bets to the point where you can catch up to the odds, so that the odds, you end up winning more than you lose over a big lot of coin flipping. So that's what the casino does with blackjack, if you think about it, right? So in blackjack, the casino has what, a 2% edge, give or take. So if they do $100 million of blackjack business, at the end of the year, they'll have $102 million. They'll make a $2 million profit. I'm just using that to illustrate the point. Well, what if you have a trading strategy that wins 66% of the time? That's like 2/3, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Does that sound like a money-making proposition, you guys? It does, right? What do you think? Does it? What if you had a strategy that won 90% of the time? I see you guys shaking your heads. That'd be amazing, right? Yeah. So here's the thing, though. The 10% that lose could wipe you out, and often will, because you can get 10 losers in a row. There's a random distribution to wins and losses. So, and this is the stuff they don't really teach you when you buy a strategy and you learn techniques. In other words, you can learn all the techniques you want. I teach plenty, but that doesn't make you a trader. There's something else you have to do to succeed at trading. A few things, actually. Right? But here's the thing here's a takeaway, and you guys can write this down, or at least make sure you don't forget this, because this is the key to succeeding at trading. If you understand this concept, one of the keys: price action cannot hide from itself. That's the secret that most successful traders know. They discover it. Maybe they don't even know the concept to teach to others, or others don't know this. Something I learned a long time ago. I go back to that first moment that I had to call live trades when I was scared shitless, right? 170, 60 some odd people in there. And the first trade showed up, and all of a sudden I froze like a deer in the headlights of an oncoming car. But here's the thing. Trading happens at the right edge of the chart, at the right edge. And when you look to the right, that's what's coming next. But it hasn't happened yet. And so you place a trade, and it's not anything like the past beautiful swing levels and trade patterns that you saw that you would have made all this money on, because now you're placing a trade without knowing anything that's coming next. And at that moment, when I had to call my very first trade in the trade room, it came crashing down on me, because I'm like, well, how do I know that's a good trade? Or it doesn't feel right. I feel so uncomfortable taking that trade or even calling it. And all these people are depending on me. What if it loses? And I'll tell you what, at that point in time, something happened to me that changed my life. And this is another takeaway for you. And if you get nothing else from this presentation, these 4 words that I'm about to tell you are life-changing words. If you can literally own this concept and then, again, project yourself into that place that you want to be, CEO trader, right? And those 4 words popped in my head, luckily, because it literally was a life-changing thing. I don't know where those words came from, but at the point that it happened, it changed everything, and I called the trade. And you know what those 4 words were? Does anyone know? Want to take a guess? I'll let you guys type something in if you want. If anyone gets close, I'm going to give you a book. Let's see if anyone gets close. Use the force. Just go for it. Do it now. Don't quit ever. Keep it simple, stupid. You can do this. To hell with it. To hell with it. All right. All great answers. All right. But let me tell you what the 4 words were, and you want to write this down. Okay. This is super important because it'll apply to everything in life. Lean on the system. That's what popped into my head. Just lean on the system. And the thing is, those words popped in my head, not probably for the reason you think, not so that I would just call the trade. And I mean, that's what happened. But I realized then if I lean on the system and the trade loses, oh, it's not my fault. I'm just leaning on the system. I'm just being a professional, calling the trade. So Diane says, what does that mean? Yeah, great. We're going to get to that. Okay. Leaning on the system. What is the system? All right. So first of all, before we go any further, I totally forgot the most important thing is the risk disclaimer. Does everyone here understand that trading is risky and that you can lose a lot of money if you do it wrong? And does everyone here realize you should never risk 1 penny that you cannot afford to lose? In fact, I don't want anyone ever placing a trade if they can't kiss the money goodbye and then tomorrow they wake up and their life hasn't changed, like they're the same, without it hurting you. Okay, because you can start small and grow it big. In fact, if you can't make money with a small account, you're just going to lose more money with a large account. So don't ever risk money that you can't afford to kiss goodbye. Now, we don't want to kiss goodbye. We want to turn that money into more money. But you have to start with that respect for the risk in the markets, okay? And the risk in the markets is not something to be feared, although it is what we end up fearing, and it causes us to do some pretty crazy things, especially on the right edge of the chart. But risk is a tool for us. Risk is a tool for us to use properly. And if we use it properly, then we make money. Now, I was just explaining to you the whole thing about the 90% win rate, but 10% of the losers can wipe you out if you don't risk the right amount of money and you don't do it properly. So you have to respect that, right? Now, the other thing is, let me ask you this. How many people in here would like to have a trading business that they could spend a few minutes a day, maybe an hour at the most, maybe sometimes less, maybe even a few hours a week, but just a short amount of time? Everyone's different, but who doesn't want to have that in their life that they could use to grow into a larger and larger and larger account? In fact, this is a good time to unmute our mics. Let's unmute our mics and say, hell yes. Because if you don't declare it,
Hell yeah.
it'll never happen.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. You
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
guys are making me proud.
Hell yes.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who wouldn't want that?
Yes.
Good. Right, so that's the first step. The first step is you declare you want it. And then remember what I said. If you want to have something and you want to become something, you've got to imagine that you're already there, and then you make decisions from that person being in that place. So you're either someone who is trying to trade, and there's a lot of struggle involved, or you project yourself to already being a trader, a successful CEO of your trading business, and you make your decisions from that point of view. And to illustrate how powerful this is, a couple common sense questions. How many millionaires do you know that hang out with poor people? I mean, as a general rule, obviously there's exceptions.
None.
All right. How about let's reverse it. How many poor people or middle-class people, normal people, hang out with millionaires on a regular basis? Again, there's exceptions to the rule, but by and large, you don't, right? Now, if you want to be a millionaire, then doesn't it make sense to make the decisions that millionaires make? Or does it make more sense to just make the decisions that you always make and expect a different result? Doesn't make sense, does it? You have to use the power of your imagination and make decisions as the CEO of your trading business. Now, someone asked, what does lean on the system mean? Leaning on the system is how you make those decisions, but you have to have a system, obviously, to lean on. And a system like that is not something you can just talk yourself into. A system like that requires going through steps and acquiring skills and acquiring belief. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? Remember, on the right edge of the chart, and it's time to place a trade, and it doesn't feel or look like anything that you looking back at all those beautiful swings and price patterns. And now you have to place a trade not knowing what's going to happen next. And there's that level of uncertainty and this idea that you have to kind of surrender your power to the unknown is what causes people to freak out and do everything wrong and fail at trading. And here's the reason. Because when a trade goes against you and you don't know if it's going to go against you or not, you hope it won't. Even if it wins 90% of the time, this 10% is going to go against you. You don't need to win 90% of the time to make a lot of money, by the way. It's not even very easy to have a 90% winning trade strategy. That's pretty difficult to achieve. But even if you're only winning 2/3, it's still a lot. But the thing is that means that the other 1/3 will go against you. And it's the way you react when that happens is going to determine where you're at with your trading and whether you have a system that's working for you or not. Okay. And you have to be able to acquire belief in what you're doing in order to take the next trade. And that's what gets people in trouble. They start trading without believing in what they're doing. And that never works. So how do you acquire belief? How? With a system that you can practice over and over again and test in the back going forward so that you can prove that that system will make you money before you ever risk one penny. Does that make sense? Would you rather trade knowing that the next trade is part of a trade plan that you can prove, that has been proven by you, not by me telling you, but by you actually proving it? Do you think you're going to have a better chance of succeeding knowing that the trade you're taking is part of a proven trade plan versus some random trade? Now, remember what I said, that the price pattern can't hide from itself? Do you guys know what I mean by that? Does anyone not know what I mean by that? Price patterns reflect the psychology in the market, right? Buyers, sellers, greed, fear, you and who's ever on the other side of your trade. Green bars, red bars on a chart. That's what price action is. And there are certain patterns that repeat over and over and over and over. And these patterns, if you know how to identify them, you could also identify what's likely to happen as that pattern resolves. So you have a pattern that happens, a price pattern, and it happens so often in so many markets, on so many time frames, on so many charts, that at some point you're able to predict what the next thing is going to be to a high degree of accuracy. Not perfect. You won't get it right 100% of the time. You don't have to. Remember, it's odds. It's about putting the odds in your side. It's about being able to take advantage of winning more and losing less, and then it's a numbers game. You guys understand what I'm saying? Does everyone understand that? So here's the problem when somebody tries to trade who hasn't gone through a process of proving it to themselves first. I want you to imagine this. Imagine that you take a trade. All right? You take a trade. And the trade wins. Answer me now in the chat. Did you make money if you placed a trade and the trade won? Type it in. Let me know. What do you think? Gene Hendricks, yes, maybe, yes. Bill Mason said no. Interesting. All right, let me ask you another question. Bill Mason, I want you to send me a email, troy@backpacktrader.com. You just won yourself a book, Day Trading Quickstart Guide.
Okay, no as well.
Nancy says, is that a trick question? Maybe. Let's mute our mics, everyone. I'll have you unmute them in a little while. All right, let's say you take a trade now and the trade doesn't win. The trade loses. Did you lose money? Did you lose money? Simple question. What do you think? You take a trade, the trade lost. I see some no's. I see some yeses. I see a lot of people wondering what the hell I'm trying to say here. All right. All good questions. Kelly says not necessarily. Not unless you have closed the trade. Well, yeah, I'm just saying you closed the trade lost. Did you lose money? All right, here's the thing. This is why I'm asking you this. And this is the whole point of being, first of all, if you said yes, you made money when the trade won, or you said no, you lost money, or yes, you lost money when the trade lost, guess what you are? Anybody want to guess what you are? I say this with love and affection for you guys. I'm not trying to be condescending. This is not a trick question. This is to make a bigger point. Someone said broke, typical loser trader, trying to be a trader. Corey, you're pretty close. Corey Gorman, I'm going to send you a book too. Troy@backpacktrader.com. Send me your address. I'll send you a book. If you thought you made money when the trade won or you lost money when the trade lost, then you're a person trying to trade. There's nothing wrong with that. It's how we all start out. It's what we all are, a person trying to trade. But let me ask you this question. This will really make the point. What about the next trade? What about the next trade after that? What about the trade a week later? What about the trade 3 weeks from now? We're traders. It's what we do. We trade, right? We trade. So did you make money if a trade wins or if a trade loses? How could you if it means you still have to take another trade? 6 months from now, you're still trading. You're trading. So does one trade win? Here's the thing. Trades will win and trades will lose. There's a random distribution to wins and losses, even the strategy that wins 90% of the time. You can lose 10 in a row. Doesn't mean it's a bad strategy. Doesn't mean it's not a 90% winner. It's like flipping the coin, right? It can, at some point you can get heads 30 times in a row, but it's still a 50-50 chance every time you flip it. There's a random distribution, and that's what most people don't understand. They think, hey, I'm trying this strategy and I'm taking this trade, and as soon as I do, the trade loses, this thing sucks. No, it doesn't suck. It's just one trade. That's it. That's what a person trying to trade is going to think. That's how they're going to feel. What do you think the CEO of their trading business is going to think? What do you think that person's going to think? What kind of decision is that trader going to make when the next trade comes up that's part of a proven plan, the proper trade, the trade that you lean on the system and take? Understand? Understand the point? So then there are other things that are involved so that you can continue to take advantage of a winning strategy even when some trades lose. And this is where you have to be able to go through that transformative process and change yourself from person trying to trade into the CEO of your trading business. If you think about it, all businesses are like that. Businesses take time to ramp up and become successful, don't they? Think of the local dry cleaner. When that person started their business, they didn't have any customers and they still had to pay their employees, open the doors, pay their bills, right? It's like any other business. At some point, they're going to get it to where it's profitable and that business can take care of them if they got a good business. And that's how trading is. If you treat trading like that, you can grow a trading business and ultimately get to the point where it could change your life. And that's why we're all here. And that's what the backpack trader freedom lifestyle is all about. I only trade a few minutes a day. Like I said, most of my trades are working for me while I'm doing other things. And when I'm day trading, I'm trading a plan that maybe it takes an hour or less. each day. Sometimes I'll hit my goals and be finished in a matter of minutes. And that's it. I don't keep trading because the trade plan says what to do. So I just show up and do it tomorrow. Like the dry cleaner opens at 9 a.m. every morning. He's not going to just open his store at 1 p.m. one day because he feels like it, right? He's going to be there and run it like a business every single day. If you treat your trading like that, and you've been able to prove to yourself that your trading plan will make you money, and you own that proof, like you proved it to yourself, then when you're at the right edge of the chart, getting ready to place a trade, you're going to be better off than if you haven't proved it to yourself, right? That's what lean on the system means. So here's the thing I always like to teach people that helps people understand the concept. Imagine a forest of trees. Well, forest means trees, right? I want you to imagine that forest is your trading account. It's the value in your account, however much you're starting with, whether it's $1,000, it's a little low, but it can be done, $10,000, whatever your trading account is, that's your forest. Every trade that you take going forward is like a tree in your forest. Okay? It's a tree, one tree. And because of this random distribution of wins and losses, that means some of the trees are going to fall. But you've been able to prove that you have the statistical advantage that your trade plan wins 66, 70, 75% of the time. With that knowledge, are you willing to sacrifice a third of the trees in your forest if it means you can grow your forest 2/3 larger as a result? Can you do that? Would you do that? Would you sacrifice a third of the trees in your forest if it means you can grow your forest 2/3 larger as a result? Right? Would you? That's what the CEO trader will do. Because the money isn't made from a trade. We've established that. Some trees grow, some trees fall. That's not where the money is. The money is your forest. Remember, that's your account. Growing, 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 growing. Most people are trying to run around the bottom of the forest floor amongst the trees and avoid losing trades, avoid getting crushed by a falling tree. Who wants to get crushed by a falling tree? Nobody. So they're going to run around and avoid it. Think of that metaphor, because this is what happens to people and why traders fail. If you can grow a pair of wings and fly up above the forest and make your decisions from above the forest looking down, you could see some sick trees falling, but as those trees fall, you also witness that your forest is growing larger and larger and larger. And here's the beautiful thing about what we do. At some point, using the power of compounding and other powers that are obviously taught, that I teach, eventually you're going to give yourself a raise by moving your finger from the 1 to the 2. And now you're doubling up on your position size because your forest has grown to the point where you can substantiate that. And eventually you give yourself another raise from the 2 to the 3. And all you have to do is move your finger over. You don't have to work harder. That's the backpack trader style, is you don't trade more, you trade less, and you let the odds work for you and grow your account to the point where you hit what's called the exponential curve. And that's what the power of compounding does. Einstein called it the 8th wonder of the world. And there's a reason why, and you guys probably know this, but the typical trading journey starts out with this ramp, this runway like this. And this is someone trading, and going up and down and up and down and up and down. Think of a big jumbo jet rolling down the runway, trying to get enough velocity to get off the ground, right? To get airborne. And eventually, if you do it long enough, you get airborne, and then the nose of the plane tips up and goes straight up like so at a certain point in time. That's called the exponential curve. When you have a strategy that you have a statistical advantage, and as you grow your account, you substantiate at the right time when you could increase your position size, the growth happens faster and faster and faster and faster. And I always like to talk about this plan and I'll tell you about this in a moment, but did you know that if you could make $50 a day, average net profit, $50 per contract per day, that in 2 years you can grow that to a $10,000 a month income and a $200,000 trading account? Now that's a formula. Doesn't have to be perfect either, but it helps guide us with our decision making, being CEO traders and all. But does anyone know what that is actually? That's like 5 little pennies, 5 cents of price action fluctuation in crude oil futures. Now, you may not know what crude oil futures are, but it's something that we trade. It's a great market to day trade. Crude oil fluctuates dollars a day. Imagine being able to take just 5 cents out of that fluctuation on an average. When you net out all wins and losses, you make $50 a day per contract. Over 24 months, that could be grown to a $10,000 a month income. Imagine what the third year looks like with that exponential growth. That's the power of trading if you get it right. It's a journey anyone can take, but it's super important that you go along the journey the right way, because there's so much information out there that it's easy to become that deer in the headlights and freeze up and not know what to do. And we don't need more information. We need something that's transformational, that's going to transform us from person trying to trade into the CEO of their trading business. Who here wants to be a CEO of their trading business? Does anybody? This is an unmute the mic time, because I think this is a really important thing to declare if that's what you want. I want.
Sounds good.
I'm in.
I'm
CEO of my own trading company.
Man, because
For sure will be.
decisions from that place now. I'm making decisions as a CEO right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
It's seductive, isn't it? It's something that's attainable though. But if it takes you 6 months to do all this, isn't that worth it? Think of any business. Most businesses have a hard time being successful in the first 6 months and actually making money. Some businesses take years to make money. Look at Amazon. I'm just saying, this is actually rather quick, but you need to have that big above the forest point of view for this. You can't be the guy trying to trade, little grunt running around the forest floor, dodging trees and having that point of view. You have to make CEO decisions, not person trying to trade decisions, you see? And again, trying to do it on your own, it's a choice. I don't think it's the best choice, because that's where people quit and struggle, and you don't have anyone to help you and support you and hold you accountable and will answer your questions when you hit things you just are stumped on, all that. So again, that's another CEO decision, and a lot of you will decide to do it on your own, and okay, I respect that. But hopefully some of you will decide that what I'm going to tell you about the program I've started is what you want to do. And do you guys mind if I tell you about that now? Could I spend a couple minutes and just tell you about what I call the CEO Trader Mastermind? Maybe some of you have seen it, but the CEO Trader Mastermind program, it's a program that's designed to take you through. We actually do this trade plan hacking framework together, and it comes with a lot, but it's not a good fit for all of you. And I understand that not all of you are going to want to do this. But this could be absolutely perfect for some of you. But how do you know? First of all, I want it to be a good fit for you. It has to be a good fit for me too. And so I want you to write this down. I'm going to put it in the chat also. It's called backpacktrader.com apply. Because I've got this process here where I'm going to offer you guys a one-on-one strategy call where we're going to talk about your trading. And then we're going to see if the mastermind's a good fit for you or not. We're going to explain to you what it is. You can decide if it's something you want to do, maybe not. That's fine. Either way, it has to be a good fit for us too. Like, we're not just taking anybody. We can't take everybody. But I'm going to put the link in here. And you guys, between now and then, you can do it while we're doing this session here. You can go ahead and fill in a short questionnaire if you want to apply for a strategy call with me or my team. We're doing it for the next 3 days. After this session, tomorrow and Monday. And then we'll probably be full by then. So I've got a lot of people in the program. So let me just say, who this is a good fit for. If this is something you really, really want, this could be a good fit for you. But I like to work with people that are fun to work with because life's short and I've been doing this a very long time. Like I don't need to do this anymore. And I want to make sure I'm doing it with people that it's fun to work with. So think about that. Also, if you're coachable, obviously, if you're not coachable, you can see where that would be a problem. If you are coachable, this could be for you. We won't know for sure until you get on a strategy call. We talk about your trading, what you want to do, your goals, etc. And we'll tell you what the program's all about, how to get involved, and then you can decide if you want to or not. No obligation. This is a free strategy call. One way or another, you're going to walk away with some good information about yourself, about your trading, and then you can make a decision. And, I've had a lot of people come through the program from this masterclass, and it's been super successful. It's what I love to do. I've pretty much dedicated my entire business around this mastermind. And like I said earlier, I tend to underpromise and way over deliver. What I did with the Colombian sessions, inviting all my mastermind members in to learn how I create a strategy, they're also going to get the strategy. That wasn't part of the program. I decided to give it to them. My goal is to make as many success stories as I can. And so I felt that learning how to develop a trading strategy is going to go a long way in teaching them how to develop solid trade plans. So, and also this strategy is like taking the best of everything I've learned so far and condensing it down. And I'm really excited about it. But that's another thing. Obviously, that comes with the mastermind now. It's part of it. It wasn't supposed to be, but it is. This is not for somebody who isn't coachable, obviously, or isn't fun or doesn't want this bad enough. So that's fine too. I'm not judging. I want you to think about what you want. And I'm just going to invite you to fill in the short application. It's just basically telling us a little bit about yourself and setting up an appointment over the next 3 days to talk with me or my team about your trading. And then we'll tell you all about what the CEO Trader Mastermind is. And as the name implies, it's designed to take you from person trying to trade to CEO Trader. And it's packed with a lot. But we're doing live trainings every week, usually 2, sometimes more. You get recordings, everything. I'm not going to tell you everything it comes with because that's not what this is. I'm not trying to pitch you something. What I am trying to do, though, is just have you make an appointment, fill out that brief application. It'll take you like 3 minutes and get on the calendar and let's talk. Okay, is that fair? Got nothing to lose, no obligation. No one's going to hold your feet to the coals, but you'll be able to make an informed decision. I want to give you guys time to fill in backpacktrader.com/apply for those of you who are interested in a strategy call and learning what it's about, the CEO Trader Mastermind. Remember, there's no obligation. Let's just see if it's a good fit. We'll see if it's a good fit for us, if it's a good fit for you, and if not, that's fine too.